Good morning, friends. So we're going to get started today by doing two things. First, we're going to look at our high frequency words for this week. Those are called our sight words as well, or our rocket words. It's just the back page of our spelling, and I posted this for you yesterday in our Google Classroom. So you can always go back and look at it to practice this week. And we're going to introduce those words quickly through our read, write, spell routine. So usually in our classroom, we'll do that with a whiteboard and a marker, or on your desk with a whiteboard marker, but you don't need that. You do need a pencil and any piece of paper. It does not have to be a blank, beautiful sheet of paper. Any kind of paper works. So I'd like you to go ahead, pause the video, and go get your pencil and go get your piece of paper and come right back. Right, so now that you have your materials in front of you, I want to remind you how our read, write, spell routine works. We're going to use a sight word from the last week that we were in class together, and that sight word is through. So I will show you a card and tell you what the word is, and then I would like you to look at the word as you read it out loud. Don't just say it, look at the word. Ready? Through. So read it. Then your job is to pick up your pencil and write it. And then you have to spell it out loud to yourself. Double check that your letters match my letters. Okay? T-H-R-O-U-G-H. Through. Read it, write it, spell it. So I'm going to leave this up the whole time, but you might need a little bit of extra time to do the writing. So I'm going to ask that if that is the case, you go ahead and pause the video before going on to the next word, okay? So first word this week we are practicing is house. So read that word with me. Ready? Get your mouth ready. Do it out loud. House. Okay, write it. And after you've written it, spell it out loud. H-O-U-S-E. Make sure you have all my letters. House. All right, next one. Wood. Look at the word, read it out loud. Wood. And pick up your pencil. We're writing W-O-U-L-D. Wood. Awesome. All right, next one, and pause the video if you need more time, no big deal. Grew. G-R-E-W. Read it, write it, spell it. Grew. All right, ooh, and I'm noticing a pattern. New. I see that K-N, making that just N sound, that silent K. Together, K-N saying N, new, K-N-E-W. Awesome. So I just want to remind you before we move on, one of the reasons that it's so important to practice our sight words is because sometimes they have patterns that we recognize and we can sound out. For instance, we know that sometimes the letters E-W next to each other say ew, like you're grossed out. Ew. New, grew, right? However, sometimes patterns that we think would make sense don't always work with sight words. They can be rule breakers. So this word is house, and this word is wood. But you notice they both have an OU. They're not making the same sound in both, right? So high frequency words, sight words, we want to practice them because they appear often in text, but also sometimes it's just impossible to sound out. So, all right. The next thing that we are going to do this morning is take a look at a story called Carly in the Dark. I have posted it in our Google Classroom. There's no need to print this out. Just go ahead and use it like if we were reading the book in class. And we're reading this book because it has the pattern that we're focusing on this week, and that is the R sound. And taking a look at Carly in the Dark, I want you to turn to someone next to you at home or just tell yourself if you see any words that have our pattern. Carly in the dark. So A-R are two letters that make the R sound. And I see two words. I see k, arly, and d-ark, dark. Okay, so there's going to be quite a few words in this text that have the R sound. So it's really just to practice reading words in context that have that. So before I begin reading, anytime I have a new book that I've never read before, I want to take a look at the cover if there's an illustration and maybe make some predictions or ask myself some questions. Really think about my book before I start reading. That's what we do as good readers. So I've looked at my title, Carly in the Dark, and I'm noticing this, I think, is a little girl on the front, and she looks, I don't know, she looks startled. She looks like she's maybe scared, and that is making me think of a connection to myself. I've been scared in the dark before. Have you been scared in the dark before? Maybe not scared in the dark, but has there ever been a time where you have felt afraid? I want you to think for a sec. When was a time that I felt really afraid? Remember that feeling as you start reading, okay? We want to think about what the characters do, but we also want to think about how they're feeling. So I'm not going to read this out loud to you today. I would like you to do that on your own, but I would like you to read it 2 times. And the first time we're reading to decode. That means that we're reading to understand what the words say. We want to pay attention to what it means, but we're really paying close attention to making sure we're sounding out our words. We'll give you an example. So on this first page here, page 16, my name is Carly. I'm a something kid. I came to a word and I'm not really sure what it says right away. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to get my mouth ready to say that first sound. And looking at that word, I see an S. So my first sound is going to be S. And then right after it, I see an M. And I know S and M together, that's a blend. So I'm just going to say sm. Try it out. Sm. Oh, look, it's our pattern. A-R. I know A-R says R. So I'm going to go back. Sm. Art. Blend it with me. Smart. I'm a smart kid. If she's introducing herself, she says, my name is Carly. I'm a smart kid. That would make sense. But I do not like the dark. I know it will never harm me, but I do not like the dark. So for some of us, this is going to be some really good practice. For other friends, this text might not be so challenging, and that's okay. So the second time you read, I want you to either read again to really better understand what you're reading, or I want you to practice reading and changing your voice. Now, usually we talk about when we read, we want to change our voice so it sounds like we're having a conversation. It sounds natural. If we see a question mark, we read that sentence as if we were asking the question. But I want to challenge you, since this text might be a little bit easy, I want you to pick a funny voice. If you're reading and you feel like you've got good fluency with it, you're not pausing at every word, I want you to pick whatever voice you like. Maybe you want to be like a R pirate, read it like a pirate. Maybe you want to read it like an old person. Maybe you want to read it with a goofy voice. However you would like to do, okay? But I want you to read the whole story out loud like that. So, direction for everyone. After the first time you read, I want you to ask yourself the following questions or talk with a parent. Okay, question number 1. Why was Carly afraid of the dark? Number 2, what was her mother's solution to the problem? There's a problem, how did it get fixed? What did mom suggest they do? Turn to the partner and retell the story. So, directions one more time. I want you to read Carly in the Dark 1 time through. Then I want you to answer those questions just out loud. Have a conversation with someone at home. Okay, and then your second read, I want you to read either to better understand or to make sure you have that normal fluency, or pick a funny voice. You can come back to this story all week. It'll stay posted up there if you would like some more practice with reading words that have the R sound in them. All right, I hope you have a great day. Thank you, friends.